so heavy!
Hey, what's up, everybody?
We're back.
We're back for part 2. So this is March 2025 albums, and there's so many freaking albums that we had to split it into a 2, possibly 3-part series.
I think we got like 84 albums or something that we listened to in March.
It's disgusting.
It's crazy. And I think April is going to be just as bananas as what March is.
Oh yeah.
So we ripped through the first 30 or so.
Yeah. So now we're gonna start off with we're gonna continue down the mellow death train here. This next band, they're a classic mellow death band from Germany, and they push that classic Gothenburg sound, and it's a band called Soul Demise with their album Against the Abyss. Bands in March that are like long-standing bands that have been around in the scene forever, and this is one of them. So these guys have been in the mellow death game since 1993, and they're continuing to evolve their sound and push their sound forward from album to album. This album features probably their most modern production. It's full of energy. You have that classic like mellow death, galloping drums, rhythms, big striking melodies, and it still has that relentless aggression. So if you guys like classic mellow death, like In Flames, Kill Switch, more like the melodic kind of metalcore stuff, then you'd really like this. It's a good headbanger. It's a good fist pumper to put on when you're just like doing chores around the house or just, going for a car ride or something like that. I always think of mellow death as like party music. And this is a party, this album. It's really fucking good.
Throw it on, put a smile on your face. Everybody's happy. You're not going to offend anybody with playing mellow death, and if you do, then I think you don't want to be hanging out with them anyways. It might be a little too soft.
Yeah.
And speaking of mellow death, we got another mellow death band up from Finland with Voidfallen, and they came up with the release, The Rituals of Resilience. When it comes to mellow death, there's like a whole spectrum of it, and I'm very particular when it comes to that. Like, I'm not huge into like symphonic mellow death when you get into that realm, but with some intricacies here and there, I can deal with it pretty well. But when I listen to this album, you can kind of take it with a grain of salt, but I was pleasantly surprised. And when I was doing my own review for this one, I was looking at some other reviews and things, and everything was all just positive. And again, this album brings the intensity. It has the galloping guitars. It has like this dissonant yet like uplifting choir type sound in the background, which adds just a nice layer of dimension to the album. It's almost like as if there's like you're going through darkness or whatever, but then the choir kind of brings up your spirits, and you know that there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. Like you're pushing through the bad times. I'm not gonna. I would say it's as Um, there are some technical parts in it. I wouldn't say like it's on the metal death technicality level as say a like a Persephone, but there's a
Hmm.
balance of that between some technicality and then making sure that they get their respect, and then the background music still plays its own drum, its own rhythm. Um, but I think all in all, like it's for a Melodeath album, heavy as shit. It's fun to listen to, and all the respect that it gets, it deserves 100%.
Yeah, yeah, I thought it was good too. I've never been like a huge Melodeath guy, but until now, like listening to the new releases and trying to keep up with stuff, um, yeah, it's definitely for the most part like a positive positive metal, posy
Hmm.
metal, but it's like war metal or like, you want to succeed, you want to triumph. Um, but
You're climbing on the top of the
but there's so
mountain,
much.
and you got the angels and
Yeah,
the angels at the top of the mountain, and you
yeah,
pair it with
it's uplifting.
sick ass
It's
guitars.
uplifting.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So we'll continue. We got some more Melodeath. It was like Melodeath March.
Hey, there we
Um,
go.
yeah. So this next band, they're an American band from Atlanta, and the band name they're called Starved of Light, and they're with their album Into Early Morning. These guys have a more technical groove approach to their melodic death metal. So think of bands like Black Dahlia, groove, the groove of like Machine Head or Alluvial. I got a lot of Alluvial kind of vibes
Mhm.
with this. Um, it's a little bit more progressive, but it has like some alternative and groove metal elements in there. But the foundation is good old classic American melodeath. Um, really great songwriting, like from a guitar standpoint, like solid. Writing is like really great. I'm not sure who the guitarist is, but like, yeah, really sick. The recording is like super punchy. The guitars are like really in your face. Um, and really good modern American metal production. So like you can tell they're going for that like fit for an autopsy type of sound with their production. But front to back, it's a great listen. It's an absolute banger. So highly recommend it.
And that's just something about I've even noticed, like, European versus American melodeath are, like, 2 completely different things. Like, I
Different.
think I
Yeah.
find that European melodeath is more atmospheric, whereas American
Yeah, it's
melodeath is more, like, groove driven.
yeah, groove and yeah, it just has a different sound for the most part. So
The
yeah.
power of a separating ocean.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're taking a break from melodeath. We're going in some good old-fashioned thrash metal with a California band, Warbringer, and they came out with an album called The Sword and the Cross. So again, going back to your point with your band being in the game for a long time, formed in the early 2000s, and they've had 7 albums since they came about. And again, like Bringer is in their name, and they brought the energy, brought the power. Um, you got the super fast paced guitars, ripping solo, basically all gas, no brakes, no filler kind of album. You're not getting no samples, no interludes, no nothing. It's just front to back, straight gas. If you like the 80s thrash metal bands, like Slayer, Havoc, um, it brings kind of the best of both worlds between the speed and like the songwriting of the 80s thrash metal, but then the production on it is way crisper than what obviously was released in the 80s. Um,
Yeah.
so great combination there. Um, I think like listening to this stuff, you have to own a motorcycle, you have to have a leather jacket, you got to have a goatee, and you got to have an axe over your shoulder.
Yeah.
That's just like the demographic that they go towards, and you feel like a badass when you're listening to this album. It's
Hell
a good
yeah.
one.
Yeah, the solos on that album are fucking nuts too. Like yeah, such a ripper.
You miss those. Like a lot of modern bands, they don't like if they miss out on those super technical solos that were so prominent back in the 80s.
Oh yeah.
So when you add a little extra production or better production when it comes to those solos, you just appreciate it that much more.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Sick. Okay, moving on. We've got a band. In my notes, I said, I like my death metal like I like my beer. German.
There you go.
It's a great German band. This band is called The Curse of Khatru with their self-titled Curse of Khatru. It's their debut, and it doesn't feel like a debut album. It doesn't feel like a brand new band. Listening to it, it feels like, a masterful display of old school death metal. It's brutal, it's groovy, and it'll leave you with a sore neck from headbanging. If you like bands like Death, Morbid Angel, or early Sepultura, you'll get a kick out of this band. It's like very straightforward, in your face, aggressive, old school death metal. No filler, no bullshit. That seems to be another theme this month. Is there's a lot of like, you just like, in your face, no holds barred, like death metal, which is sick.
Yeah, because
Um,
like it's hard to make up an album when you have half of the album just filled with samples and other shit. It's not an
yeah,
album. It's just a
yeah,
movie.
yeah. But yeah, it's a really great debut. I thought it was a ripper.
Yeah, I
So
got heavy morbid angel vibes from that one too.
yeah, 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 and really cool artwork. I'm not sure who did the artwork, but yeah, it's like kind of gave me like a genie vibe, like like a genie coming out of the bottle, but they're transcending into the heavens. It's just like a
Mhm.
really, I don't know who drew it, but it's phenomenal cover art.
If you if you did it, reach out to us. We want to make some shirts.
Yeah,
You want to be our
exactly.
designated merch guy.
Yeah.
Going from another first time release to another first time release, but taking a short trip over to Sweden with Impurity and their release, The Eternal Sleep. Anyone who listens to a decent amount of death metal, as soon as you hear the word Swedish death metal, you should automatically think buzzsaws.
Yeah.
And this one is buzzsaw central.
Mhm.
You got you still got the ripping guitar solos, you got the high intensity playing, and anything else you can think of when it comes to a good old classical Swedish death metal album, you're going to get it in this one.
Yeah.
There's still some nice synth parts that give way for some more dimension and depth again.
Hmm.
But sometimes I notice that in a lot of like sweet death bands and albums, because the buzzsaw is so prominent, sometimes the mixing is a little bit off. It's hard to because everything seems super muffled. This one's a little bit muffled, but I don't notice it as much because the intensity of the album is so prominent that it makes up for a lot of the muffledness. It's just like I could give two shits. I'm banging my head the whole time. It's just it rips. So
Yeah.
I think in this instance, they make it work so well. And that's one of the things that I really appreciate about this one.
Yeah. It was sick.
Go Sweden.
Um, Go Sweden, the Swedish. So let's go back to Germany now. This album has been getting a lot of buzz. I know a lot of people in the blogs and online have been just absolutely loving this thing, and I can see why. Um, so it's a German death metal band called Scalpture with their album Landkrieg, and this thing is a fucking annihilator. I tried writing a description for this album, but I can't match the description that they've wrote for themselves on their Bandcamp. So I'm just going to read it. So it says, "Here comes the German death metal tank again, crushing and smashing, bulldozing all resistance into oblivion and breaking through the lines. Scalpture delivered their fourth album, Landkrieg, which means land warfare in German, with deadly precision and an ambitious mission statement to conquer the world. This time, it's not just one of the usual war themes, but each song of Landkrieg revolves around the 30-year war that devastated the German lands from 1618 to 1648. On Landkrieg, Scalpture stay true to their deadly roots, but their sound has been refined by endless hours on the road, playing more shows and many days and nights well spent in the rehearsing space and at Hellforge Studio. The new songs are brutal, hard-hitting, and 100% death metal, but they also leave room for variety and cool twists. When Scalpture came into being in the German city of Bielefeld in 2009, founding guitarist Felix Marbach already had a clear vision. Musical direction was to be death metal without any compromise regarding its roots and values, but at the same time, the band aimed to evolve into a singular musical entity with a unique style, very much their own right from the start. Scalpture unleash a new Landkrieg, and that leaves the world with only two choices: run for cover or bang that death metal head hard."
Hell yeah.
Epic.
If I they need to be teaching how to review death metal albums in like universities, because I swear these guys know how to write shit. They
Oh
make
yeah, it's
they make
crazy.
the perfect analogies all the time, and it's just it makes no sense how they come up
Yeah,
with shit. But it's like, you know what? I totally get it. When you listen to the album and they come up with these
yeah,
weird ass things on the surface, you're like, what the hell are you talking about? But it works.
yeah. A great resource. If you like reading like well written pieces on metal albums, is Angry Metal Guy, AMG.
Yes, he's good.
Um, yeah, like they have a bunch of writers that write for Angry Metal Guy, but I feel like they're all so good at reviewing. Sometimes I agree with your reviews, sometimes I don't, but you can't argue that they're super well written.
And that's the one thing too is the beauty thing about that of metal is that it's in the eye of the beholder, right? It all
Yeah,
depends on what you like, and you can't really diss what someone likes over another because everyone's brought
yeah,
up different and listens to different shit and everything else.
yeah.
But I mean, in terms of this one, it's heavily groove oriented death metal, which I like.
Hmm.
I'm kind of in the fan, which again, you don't really hear too much groove over in Europe. So to have
Yeah.
that in this band is super super nice.
Hmm.
Well, staying over in Europe, you got another death metal band from Finland with Wretched Path and their album Sea of Death. And what I can say with this one is guitar tone, guitar tone, guitar tone. It's just extremely, extremely crisp, and the heaviness does not go away because of the crispness. And
Hmm.
it's a 1-2 punch. It's fantastic. I think this album, the songwriting is probably the most dynamic out of any of the death metal albums that we listened to in March.
Hmm.
It still she features the stereotypical tremolo picking and the ripping solos, but there's more groove latent leads, and it allows other parts of the band to like drive the bus essentially, and not have the guitarist be the only one who's leading the way in a sense.
Hmm.
Again, a lot of or a few more symphonic parts, ties in all the overlaying themes and kind of wraps up the album in like a nice bow. It's not sprinkled throughout the whole album, but it's just kind of more so of a closer. Like if you were to go to the opera or something, and then
Hmm.
like they close the curtains and the show is over. Um, 31 minutes. It's a pretty decent runtime considering a death metal album. Usually they're upwards of 40, but to have a just
Hmm.
over 30-minute album is super nice. And it doesn't become stale, and it's not repetitive. So it's just no holds barred. Do you love death metal? Please put this on for the love of God. Just listen to it.
Yeah, it's sick. Okay, so now we're going prog with a band called Frogg
Hell yeah.
with
Frog.
their Frogg with their album Eclipse. So these guys are progressive technical metal band from New York. This album, again, it's been getting a lot of praise online, and it is it is amazing. It's like next level playing, super super talented musicians. It's a really fun album. It's meant to be listened to in its entirety, I would say, like front to back, because it's very experimental. There's a lot of influences that are sprinkled throughout, like technical death metal, prog, and there's even some like poppy pop music type influence sprinkled throughout. Guitar work is insane, crazy solos. The vocal performances are just next level. Um, if you like bands like Between the Buried and Me, Dream Theater, kind of with some of those more progressive and poppy elements, but like technical guitars, like Animals as Leaders, um, Protest the Hero is a good reference for this band. Yeah, if you like any of that, any of the above, you'll love this album. That
Mhm.
was it was a ripper.
The one album that I thought was kind of like the not so much the poppy stuff, but the musicianship reminded me of Subterranean Lava Dragon from what we
Yeah,
listened to
yeah,
last month. I think that
yeah,
was a close comparison, but it was
yeah,
super super technical and super experimental. But it's
yeah,
hard to take a band seriously when they're called Frog with two
yeah,
G's, not with
yeah,
one G. But
yeah.
god damn, they can write a sick ass album.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know if it's like actually frog, like if there's a frog theme throughout like the lyrics or whatever, but yeah, I like the cover. It's super super cool. But
It's
I
like
like
a
frogs.
space frog.
Space frog, yeah. Yeah, I like frogs.
Who doesn't? Okay, next up, we got a super unique band. from New Zealand called Alien Weaponry with their release at Hey Ra, I believe is how you would say it.
You have awakened a monster under the veil of innocence, the violation of ending time. Wrath falls on the hour. It has come to the tower. The beast delivery of the end to execution for savage crimes.
Third release of their discography so far. But the one thing with New Zealand is, even though it's a small country, they pack a freaking punch when it comes to their bands. Like, no kidding. Like, you can't skip over Blindfolded. You can't skip over Ulcerate. And I'm sure I'm missing way, way more, but it's just a melting pot of great metal music. I think I'm familiar with Alien Weaponry. Like, they're fairly popular, like, compared to some of the more underground bands. But I would put them in the same camp as like a Trivium. They have like very clean singing leads, but their musical playing is more groove orientated. And then the one thing that they do that's super unique and helps them stay memorable is the fact that the members of the band are all part of their like ancestral heritage is all I think it's called Maori or something.
Oh yeah.
They're like
Like
native. Like they're native.
native New Zealanders.
So some of the lyrics in their music are actually from their native tongue. But it's funny because when you're listening to it, sometimes you feel like you're trying to second guess yourself, like almost as if you're someone who doesn't speak English and you're trying to understand English because the singing is clean, and then they're speaking in their native language, and it's a complete mind fuck. It's weird.
Oh yeah.
But in terms of the album itself, like the guitars are super tight and heavy, almost proggy at some points, and vocals are crisp and they're powerful. And again, kind of going back to that Trivium reference, because they don't have a lot of low gutturals in either album. So I think that's what makes this album so good, is just it's a lot of clean singing with groove, with groove instruments. The one thing that was also cool was that Randy Blythe from Lamb of God did a feature on the album, and with him singing, it sounded very close to Lamb of God. So you know how important that is to have that dimension with the vocals and how much of a important role that plays in their sound. So I think all in all, it's a fun album to listen to and to put on.
Sick. Yeah, man. So much good. I feel like every genre has been like properly represented in one way, or shape, or form in March. Like we've got
like there's a standout from each one.
Yeah, like there's great prog, there's great groove metal albums, there's great metalcore, there's great like tech death. Like there's just so much good shit that came out this month. It's ridiculous. Continuing down kind of that like progressive groove, progressive, technical groove metal stuff. We've got a band called Dissocia with their album To Lift the Veil. This thing is really, really, really fucking good. Now, it's a 2-piece, and it features current and ex-members of Eternal Storm, Persephone, so that's where you get that progressive technical element, and the drummer from Wormed. So they play a blend of progressive metal, death, and groove metal with some subtle synthwave elements that create this like really cool atmosphere. If you like Devin Townsend or Strapping Young Lad, and the craziness that comes from that, you'd really enjoy this record, I feel. The vocal performance is insane. It's, you have like deep gutturals, the like high, the amazing high screams. There's some cleans as well. The drumming performances are massive. When you have Gabriel from Wormed on the kit, and then when it's mixed and mastered by Max Morton, who did bands like Ginger and Shokran. He's a Ukrainian producer. This album is going to slap harder than Will Smith. That's an old reference, but yeah, this is a great album. I think front to back, like it's definitely a must listen.
Call me Chris Rock, because I just got slapped by the hand of Will Smith from Dissocia. Yeah. That's how I felt after I got slapped. I feel dissociated from reality.
Yeah.
Wormed is an unreal band, and you can kind of hear the similarities from that band into fused into this one, which is why I think it's so important to understand the history of where bands started and their ex-members, because there's a lot of sound that kind of travels through, and you can pick apart why they sound like they do.
Like Wormed is known for their insane technical freeform, almost jazz drumming, similar to Defeated Sanity.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like if Wormed started a prog tech metal band or project. And I mean, it's heavily centered around the drumming, but it's like he's such a fucking insane drummer, so it's pretty dope.
Rest in peace, your hands.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to still sticking with the prog death metal here. Got a band from the UK called As the World Dies with their album Nebula. Go into the dictionary, or actually the thesaurus, just find out like the word heavy, and just find any word that relates to heavy and just insert it in, and it will represent this album to a T. Like it is chunky, it is sludgy. It's like I called it atmospheric sludge, and it is the coolest sound. I don't know how they did it, but it fucking sounds amazing. It still has like those nasty, like the nasty death metal riffs that kind of gives you the stank face, but it has like an intensity to it where you can feel the bass and the drums in your chest, which when you're going towards progressive death metal, sometimes you lose that, and it is not lost in one iota in this record. The one thing I did notice was that the tempo in the album, it reminded me a lot of like Fulci, how it has like that thicky, chunky sound in the riffage with the atmospheric and dissonant themes. I think that's a pretty good band to try and compare it to these guys. And it's one of those, I think it's one of those albums where you should listen to it in its entirety, because it feels like you are going on through a journey. There's some slower parts and things where it's like you're giving breaks throughout your journey. And I think it's pretty fitting because the final song on the album is called Final Resting Place. And it's kind of fitting because it's like that's the end of your journey. You're at your final resting place. So it concludes the quote journey of the album. So Again, great release
So
by these guys. Hadn't came across them before we started listening to them through our March releases, but glad that we
mhm.
did.
Yeah, yeah. Man, there's so much good progressive death. Um, Continuing down the progressive death metal groove um, train, we have a debut album from an Australian band called Nothing with the Self Repair Manifesto. And this thing has been also getting a ton of love online. Um, being an Australian band, I feel like they always feel like they have big shoes to fill. Australia is always, we've talked about this, they're always known for exceptional um, like releases and albums.
Hmm.
Um, this album has a ton of melodic but blackened and like some thrash elements. Super groovy. It's really catchy. The drumming is insane. Highly recommend following these guys on social media, Instagram, Facebook. Their drummer posts a lot of videos, and yeah, he's super technical, like really, really great drummer. Um, this album, it feels like, again, it doesn't feel like a debut album from a new band. It feels like a very hyper focused piece of work from metal legends like Dark Tranquility or even, a Legion. Um, the fact that it's a debut is pretty impressive, in my opinion. It's carefully crafted, it's highly enjoyable. Um, and if you like other, if you're like me and you're always looking for good Australian bands, this is a fucking ass beater. I don't think it will disappoint you. You definitely check it out.
No, hell yeah. And I think even referring it back to Dark Tranquility and Legion, how they came out with new releases in April here, I think it just pairs it
Mhm.
that much better to
Yeah,
having a side by side comparison.
fuck yeah.
So good, man. It's just
Mhm.
like death metal fans a wet dream over here. Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now we got a band that we haven't, or from a country that we haven't talked about before, from Argentina, with like a disso death metal band, and their name is Horrendum Vermis, with their release Temple of Morbid Divinities. Now, these guys have been in the scene for a bit, since 2014. This is their fourth full length release. But if you look up examples of new school death metal bands, then these guys should be on the top of that list. There's still a ton of tremolo picking, tuned down, almost black metal inspired riffs, like nasty guitar tone. I call it almost like DIY-ish. So if you know
Mhm.
what Sanguisugabog sounds like, that tone, it is very reminiscent of that. Except the guitar tone or the guitar solos aren't as dark. They're a bit brighter, which when you're dealing with the DIY genre, sometimes if you listen to a lot of it, then it just kind of becomes mundane and it just all eventually sledges together and all becomes one, and it's not very enjoyable. So that adds a
Mhm.
nice change of pace. Vocals super sharp and powerful and disgustingly heavy. It's I thought of when I was listening to it. It's as if the vocalist is pulling the voice out of somebody who's taking their last breath.
Oh yeah.
And it like it's just that like that desperation is just coming out, and it's just being pushed right back into your ear holes. And
Yeah.
it's like it's right in line with the themes of this album. And I think it's a solid release. It's just I think there's not anything in the album that is just holy fuck, my mind's blown. But at the same time, it's just there's nothing I can shit on it for. It's just
Yeah.
a solid release, and I loved listening to it.
Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. There's a lot of that. A lot of like good
Mhm.
straightforward death metal. Um
Which keep it that way, please.
yeah. So this next band is a band that needs no introduction in the realm of death metal because they've been playing in the scene for over 30 years. This is full length number 7 from these Swedish death metal masters who are going back to Sweden. And
Mhm.
this is Wombbath with Beyond the Abyss. So these guys have never really veered off of their initial sound. They've just kept it the same. But every single release, they seem to get sharper. They seem to get more mature with their songwriting. They're like, like master craftsmen or like artisans that sharpen their blades every single album. They get better and better. Um, this album features more of like melodic guitars and different tempo changes that from their previous stuff. And there's even an eerie violin part that's sprinkled in there that's pretty cool. But it just helps to build this like really haunting atmosphere that they didn't have on their previous albums. But all of that speaks to an evolution in their sound. So while they're still staying true to their original sound, they keep evolving. And this is kind of like peak Wombbath, in my opinion.
Mhm.
But these guys have been crushing. Like the fact that these guys have been around for over 30 years, crushing this style of Swedish death metal for this long, while still continuing to stay fresh and enjoyable, says everything. So, if you like Swedish death metal, these guys are fucking legends in the game.
Mhm.
So I thought it
Entombed,
was,
Dismember,
yeah,
you like those
Wombbath.
guys.
Fuck yeah,
Must be in the water. It's
yeah,
either in the water and the meatballs.
yeah, or IKEA.
They sleep well at night in their IKEA beds.
Yeah,
So their brains are rested so they can write sick ass death metal.
I wonder if the people who build the IKEA furniture in Sweden, if they are just listening to Swedish death metal all day.
They have to.
Yeah.
If you walk through IKEA in Sweden, that's probably what they put for like background music. Like you're just walking
Yeah.
through their store and they're just shredding guitar solos and everyone's like, yeah, it's what we listen to.
Yeah. Classic HM2 fucking buzzsaw. It's actually
That's what
just
they
the sound.
that's what they
It's
listen to in the
actually just
workshops when they're making all this
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. It's just the sound of the IKEA toy shop. It's like it's at like North Pole, but in Sweden, in the IKEA, all the elves are listening to fucking Swedish death metal.
Give me the address. I wanna take a visit.
Yeah.
Okay, well, not going in Sweden anymore. Now we're going to Italy with Grumo and their death metal grind band. And they came out with an album this month called Sons of Disgust. They've been around for a while, but they haven't put out a lot of music. It's only the third length album since '04, but doesn't sound like they've deviated much in their sound. Like it's just pure death grind. It's fast paced. It's groovy. Um, again, it's more grind orientated. If you were to pull apart Fulci again, like their country
Hmm.
mates, but just don't have this so much. It's not so much in their sound. Just keep the grind and just pull that away. Not as punchy.
Hmm.
The grooves and the hooks are super super catchy as well. It's one where you can throw it on and like bounce around with your friends in the pit.
Oh
It's
yeah.
super super fun. The one thing that I noticed when I was listening to it was some of the instruments seem to be kind of lost in the album, but that's just super that's like a minor thing that I noticed. But when you have grind albums, it all just gonna be it's pure intensity.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're trying to nitpick on mixing, I think you're looking at it at the wrong through the wrong lens. But it was just something that I had noticed, especially when you're ripping through a lot of high production albums and stuff. It's just
Hmm.
something that sticks out to you. But I mean, if you're hanging out with your metal friends and you're wanting a good time, then I think throw this one on and no one in your friend group is going to be disappointed. And if they are,
Oh
find new friends.
yeah. It's well put. So we're starting to get into like the greasy death metals now. Um, and this one was one of the first albums that I listened to in March. Um, and it was like highly recommended from Brendan Sloan from Convulsing. And it's because he has a vocal feature on the album, which is pretty fucking cool. But these guys are from Australia. The band is called Reekmind, and the album is called Mired in the Reek of Grief.
The serpent is here. A hollow vessel filled with sin. Cast aside a spell unbound.
And this
Sick
is
ass
just
name.
straight up old school death metal, death doom, that is drenched in sludge, like being dipped in a corrosive acid bath of sludge. It's just slowed down, like super down tempo, dirty, nasty. It has like a lot of that just grimy sludge element to it. But the writing is very careful, it's very methodical, it's very simple in its approach, but it's like straight to the point, no messing around, just like dirty, old school, grimy death metal. Like the band is called Reekmind. Like
Get that through
this,
your head.
yeah, it's disgusting.
It's
It
supposed to be
reeks. But yeah, anytime Brendan Sloan from Convulsing like recommends something, it's usually pretty good. And this was fucking, it was good.
I
So
think
it's
this one was one
definitely
of my favorites.
yeah, it's one of my favorites too. The whole
I
aesthetic, I love Death Doom, and yeah, this was a real dirty one.
Like if you
So
like Crowbar, just
yeah,
imagine you turn up the stank on Crowbar by like 4 and you'll get Reekmind. It is so gross. It's
yeah,
like the swamp people from Louisiana got covered in shit.
yeah.
That's how gross and sludgy it is. Fantastic. I love that one. Okay, but now we got another sick ass sludge band from the UK, Rancid Cadaver, and their album Mortality Denied. This one, I've also seen a lot of high 9s for full album
yeah.
reviews on this one. It is so good.
Yeah, it
Super
is
sludgy
fucking
death
so good.
metal. You like Incantation, you like Mortician. This is for you. Super chunky riffs because it's got no blazing solos. It's just that
Mhm.
ideal death doom sludge.
Yeah,
Guitars are similar to the likes of the old school death metal but not having the speed be a prominent driver. It's just kind of sprinkled in there every once in a while. But obviously these guys have a much better production than what Incantation and Mortician had. Mortician sounds like you're listening through, I don't know, you put 10 pairs of pants over top of a microphone. That's how their albums sound. It sounds so disgusting, but the riffs are fantastic. Anyway, the one band that I think I thought of when I would listen to their tone with the death metal themes was New Mahajan. I think is a pretty close comparison. Again, another decent runtime for a death metal album, 33 minutes. Doesn't nothing gets dragged out. It's basically just get in, get out, leave a smile on your face. You feel grimy and sludgy, and you're like, fuck yeah, let me ride this dirty roller coaster again. So good.
Yeah. Really dirty, stanky riffs.
Great album too. I don't know what that thing is, but
yeah, unreal. So we're gonna keep the Death Doom train going here into hell. We've got a band from Hungary called Rothadas. Now the title of their album, I can't pronounce it, so I used Google Translate, and it translates to Thorn Garden, the eternal feeling of temptation, a ghostly melody, which is incredibly long album title. This album also is pretty highly revered in March. A lot of people love it, and it's a great death doom. It's not your typical like death doom like a Reekmind album. It's pretty psychotic. After listening to this album, this thing, I feel like it could give all the other death doom releases over the last few years a good run for their money. It doesn't fall into like the standard trappings of either death metal or straight up doom metal. There's a lot of variation. There's a lot of creativity in the songwriting. There's some like hardcore influence with like D-beat drumming, and then there's some black metal influence. But the vocals are absolutely ripping. They're just savage, like caveman vocals. You got the gurgles and the gutturals and, super strained, just fucking pissed off. The whole record is fabulous. The production is very well done. And the cavernous atmosphere, it's created by the instrumentation rather than, an overuse of reverb or other effects on vocals or guitars. Yeah, again, I think this is going to be an end of year list for a lot of people, end of year list album for a lot of people, that especially people that enjoy death doom. So,
and I think it's way harder trying to create that atmosphere with instruments, and do a good job with it as opposed to doing it through an external source. But if you can do it well, then it sends shivers down your spine, and that's what I got listening to this one. It was fantastic.
Dark.
I don't know how we're gonna try and come up with a top. Our top list is gonna be 30 albums long each. It's gonna be terrible.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, we got one more in the death metal sludge realm, but we got an American band here from Oregon called Decrepisy, and their album Mourning. think this one definitely has one of the ugliest guitar tones out of any release that there was in March. Again, so carnivorous, so dark, and yet even though it has those themes, it holds its own. It holds its own weight and its substance. And the thing that I really loved about it was I've been listening to a lot of Maul
Mm,
since we saw them in Winnipeg here about a week and a half ago. And you combine the bounciness of their new release Jaws of the Bereavement, and you combine that with like the dirty guitar tone, and it's just a match made in heaven. That's how I
mm,
kind of relate to this album. Except it's a bit more raw and dissonant, which
yeah.
I personally enjoyed. The first couple of songs are kind of slow, but once you hit that third song, then that's when it really truly begins in my eyes. It's just big. As soon as you're done listening to it, though, like man, get in the shower, get all this shit off my body because you feel you feel gross, and like you got spider webs and you got crust forming on your bodies and you got
Yeah.
shit all over you, and it's nasty, but in all the right places, in all the right ways.
Mm.
It was
Dra-
again just
It's
pure
like you've been
filth.
dragged. Yeah, it's like you've been dragged through filth and held hostage in the tomb. It's
Yeah, and
fucking
it's like left there to stink and rot and
yeah.
ew.
Speaking of stinky, rotting death metal, um, this band, this album was fucking great too. Man,
Mhm.
this thing was like Riff City. Um, band is called Corpus Awful, and with their self-titled album. And this is a debut album from an old school death metal outfit from Texas. This album was released on one of the arguably the best old school death metal labels out right now, $20 spin.
Mhm.
And it seems like whenever a death metal album is released on that label, you know it's going to be fucking great. Um, but this band features past members of Autophagy, Bell Witch, Caustic Wound, and the legendary but now defunct band Cerebral Rot, which is another sick old school death metal band.
Mhm.
When you know that it's ex members from those bands, you know that you're going to die in the pit. Um, this is just straight up nasty, disgusting, filthy death metal. No bullshit, no flashy elements, straight up just OSDM done to the highest degree. These guys do not mess around. You got your blood soaked, murky, disgusting riffs, stomping drums, head smashing grooves, and sick guttural vocals with some of the best solos I've heard personally in March or so far this year. Like really captivating songwriting, and like the riffs are just like really creative and like groovy, but like I don't know. It's like nobody's written riffs like that so far for death metal. Um,
And that's
I
hard
just
to
thought it
do.
was
Like, to be original in in
oh
that
yeah,
space.
yeah, and that's the best word I can use to describe this album is original. Like they're not, it's not just another like rip off, killer death metal album. Like it's super original in the writing, and the riffs are just like, whoo, man. Like you can tell they're fucking legends in the game. Like Caustic Wound, Cerebral Rot, Autophagy are some of the best death metal bands, like modern day death metal bands. And yeah, so for this to be a spin-off project of that, it's fucking I'm excited to see where it goes.
Mhm. The one thing I put in my notes for that one was the vocals sounded like at the beginning of Morbid Angel's Domination, or it sounds
Mm,
like they're he's singing through soap, and it's got like the bubbliness to it. It
Oh, yeah,
reminded me
yeah.
of that 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, moving right along here, we got French death doom metal band called Mortaire with their release Morbid. Please excuse my pronunciation of French words.
En français.
En français, oui, baguette, boulangerie, other weird ass names.
Croissant.
Just like my pronunciation, this album was disgusting, but in a good way. The mixing of this album is super fantastic. The guitar tone is crisp, but they still have this nasty chunk that is like a black metal sound almost that is overlaying the whole album, which is super well done. There is some doom themes that are prominent in their sound, but it's not typical doom metal in the sense that it's slow paced. It's pretty decently paced for like a doom album, which I think is the best of both worlds. I compared it to Bolt Thrower as I think a good comparison. Early Bolt Thrower. I enjoyed again some of the lead guitars. There's some more bounce to their songwriting. It's not just all one dimensional, super drawn out chords. Especially when a lot of these songs are 7 minutes or longer. It could be really easy in this subgenre to try and drag things out, and it did not do that for me. It was very fresh and wasn't stale, and an impressive feat overall. But you're not going to be going into this album blown away by any ripping solos or any
Sheer
other
technicality.
huge no weird technicality. But you shouldn't expect that when you're going for a death doom album anyway.
Yeah.
But I think if that's what your bread and butter is, then I mean you're gonna fucking love this one. So check it out, please.
Yeah. Moving along into we're going back into a bit of a melodic territory here with this album, but more just like blackened death metal, I would say. This is a band called Throne with their release That Who Sat Upon Him Was Death. These guys are from Michigan. This album is straight up pummeling, in your face, hits like a freight train. It does not let up front to back. It's got a quick 30-minute runtime. And if you enjoy early Black Dahlia murder, like that blackened melodic death metal, bands like Belphegor, early Behemoth, or even I got lots of Suffocation vibes with this album with the groove and like some of the technicality, bass lines, the drumming. You'll love this album. Relentless drumming. Like the drumming is fucking nuts on this album. Tons of blasting, but there's also with the guitars a lot of crazy riffing, tempo changes, galloping rhythms, palm muted chugs, like everything that you want, trem picking, everything you want from like good melodic death metal. But it has that like really just brutally heavy blackened feel to it with like the blasting and the guitar tone and stuff. This I was not expecting this album. Like I've heard of this band before, but somebody posted it on the technical death metal page, and like, oh man, this thing is fucking killer. And it was a nice surprise, huge standout for me, in my opinion, for 2025 so far.
And it's so hard to try and fuse the worlds of melodic death metal and brutal death metal. I think is
Yeah,
only again a handful of bands who can do it well, and
yeah,
they are on that same level. And
yeah.
yeah,
Super
again,
sick musicians.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Okay, now we got a good old fashioned fun listen with
a stomper.
a stomper, literal stomper, metallic hardcore slash slam band from down in the swamps of Florida called Body Box, with their second or their first full length album, 3. One thing I love about Body Box is the fact that they are one of those bands that it's just, like you're not going to be blown away by the musicianship. Like you're not going to say that this is an album of the year. But if you want a good goddamn time, turn your brain off, just close your eyes and fucking headbang. Listen to some nasty ass garbage can snare, groovy riffs. They are pinch harmonics. It is just a good old fashioned fun listen. And
Yeah,
they know what to do. Like I know with some of their other EPs, they're talking about microwaving weed and living in a trailer park and smoking meth. And I'm like, fucking rights. I love listening to this kind of shit. It's just
yeah. It's trailer.
it's a bunch
It's
of
trailer.
bums making fucking sick ass music. Like shout out to
Yeah,
Harrison.
trailer park beat down slam.
It's so
It's
sometimes
awesome.
you need that in your life. You need a
Greasy wife
little,
beater music.
no kidding, makes you want to beat someone up.
Yeah,
But I mean,
but yeah,
if you throw that in the pit, guaranteed you're having a black eye. Someone's
yeah,
getting hurt, and
yeah,
look out. So
yeah.
yeah, fun
It's
one.
meant for the mosh.
Has to be for the
Absolutely.
mosh.
Yeah, meant for the
Yeah,
mosh.
you
Yeah,
have the
people.
mosh and the swamp though.
Yeah,
So
if
then
you
if you
like.
get thrown down, then at least you got some. It's not gonna be hard floor. You got some water. You got some marsh or something softening your blow.
Yeah, yeah. If you like peeling flesh and snuffed on sight and that type of, like, brutal slam, um, Body Box is where it's at.
Hell yeah.
So I love this album. It's just like you said, it's like if you want to just turn your brain off and go full caveman, like it's perfect for that.
You gotta talk like this.
Yeah.
That's what the album sounds like. Respectfully.
Yeah. All right. We'll continue down the metallic hardcore, slammy death metal bit with the new Gates to Hell album, Death Comes to All. These guys are from Louisville. We've seen them play a couple times now, and we know they can lay a beating. And the fact that they were touring with like Fear Factory is just like super cool.
Dream country for those guys.
Yeah, but yeah, they can, for being younger guys, like they're really great musicians, and they can keep up with the best of them. But they're a great example of like that hardcore kids that got into death metal, and so they blend that metallic hardcore side with like old school death metal. It's full of groove. There's a ton of terrifying breakdowns, but there's just like unrelenting aggression. It's a super fast album. It's only 22 minutes, but it's just like straight to the point, short and sweet, no bullshit. There's no filler. It's all killer, no filler, as they say. But if you like bands like Vomit Forth, Volatile Ways, Acacia Strain, the new Open Casket album, it's a great fucking album. It's a ripper. So like lyrically and technically, it's not going to be like, oh my God, blow you away. But it's just like mosh music, and it's great pump up music. So
perfect for hitting PRs in the gym.
Exactly.
And I remember the second time we listened to them at the Burn Cummings in Winnipeg here, that has been the loudest concert that I've been to date. My ears were ringing for 3 days after we went to that concert. They were fucking loud as shit.
Oh yeah.
But again, when you add Gates to Hell plus the slanted floor at the Burton Cummings and a fence, it is destruction gone wild.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to those guys. Great release by them. And they switched labels too. I noticed their sound in this album was a little bit crisper than what their first album was released, because I think they switched from, I think they were at Maggot Stomp, and then they switched over. I can't remember where they are now, but anyway, it's not here nor there.
Cool.
Okay, sticking in the same realm, the brutal death metal slam band from Illinois.
Illinois.
Illinois. And this was an Illinois album. And this band is called Orbital Gate, and their album Demonstration of Post-Apocalyptic Warfare. Fucking fantastic name. And
all you can do is listening to the brutal death slam shit. All you can do is laugh, because it's just so fucking caveman, but so good.
And the most random ass names.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, they're pulling into the dictionary and they're finding the most obscene words to use for their albums, and their music is like not representative of what the words are. But then yet you have some super technical, like musically trained death metal outfit, and then they just come like they'll have like a one-word band name that is just the most simplest name on the planet. And you're like, dude, those are the people you'd expect to come up with some crazy ass super technical name. Like, it's the weirdest shit. Anyway, these guys have been putting out music for only 2 years, like since 2023, and this is their third full-length release, so they've been grinding hard. I think anyone who says that they resonate with like the themes and the lyrics of slam bands and driving trucks and running over shit and whatever else they talk about, I think you're full of shit. But anyway, I think they still have their scene or their place in the metal scene, because it's a lot of people who are getting into the scene. They like the simplicity of it, and yet they're adding the death metal influence to it. And again, it makes it a really fun and pretty accessible listen. I like, again, anything with any slam band, you're getting the nasty breakdowns, you're getting the low gutturals, you're getting the tight pinch harmonics. And listening to something like this, I call it the male equivalent of letting your hair down. Like you're coming home from work and you're cracking a beer and you're letting your hair down and you're throwing on orbital gate and you're just in pure bliss. That's the that's how I would describe it. But it's becoming more of a popular subgenre. Again, with the helps of Peeling Flesh, who are fucking exploding, which is crazy. They love putting outrageous samples and other weird lyrics in their bands or in their songs. But I mean, fast paced, heavy, and anything you can think of in the realm of that, they're carrying in spades. So just keep your head up when you're listening to this album, because it might invoke any rowdiness from people who are listening to the same album as you. You might get punched in the head.
Yeah, you might turn some people on, like playing Slam. They might unlock some like hidden aggression. Get punched. So I feel like we've been going through kind of the US here. We had Florida, we had Louisville, Kentucky, Illinois, and now we're going to Tennessee.
Yeah, we're going to only 10 I see.
You're only 10 I see. So this is a band called Abated Mass of Flesh, with their album Rebirthing the Vile. Guys are American brutal death metal band. They've been around for a while, since 2011. Originally started by two brothers. They've just like added members and changed and evolved their sound over their releases. But if you like bands like Relics of Humanity, that new album they dropped this year was fucking good. A band called Dripped, they put out an EP this year that was pretty slamming. Pathology, and then like the greasy, dirty production of that last Sanguisugabog record, then you'll really like this shit. So it's like there's nothing like, it's not tech death by any means. It's just like that pissed off, dirty aggression. Again, if you want to shut your brain off and go into Oonga Boonga mode, then it's a great band to listen to. But going back to like the body box snare, this snare sounds like an upside down garbage can lid. It's like the Saint Anger snare, but like on steroids. But these guys play similar to Relics of Humanity. They play like a very down tempo, brutal death metal. Super nasty, and yeah, there's really nothing else to say about it other than it's fucking slaps and it's heavy shit.
They Abated Mass of Flesh, they took the garbage can lid, Body Box took the garbage can and they shared it, and then they brought it back together and they formed the full garbage can. They split it apart. But,
yeah, you feel like you need to like live in a garbage can after listening to that shit. But
your brain, like just the noise, the ping, 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 ping.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, it's so good.
Okay, we got. Let's show on one more for good measure, with another kind of brutal death metal, deathcore band from Kentucky called Gamma Sector, and their album Deteriorate. same realm of like Body Box, Orbital Gate. They're not blowing you guys. You're not blowing their listeners away with their musicianship and their technicality or whatnot. But it's just another front to back ass beater. And the best way I can describe this guitar tone is as a crispy burnt grilled cheese sandwich. And you drag your knife across the back of that grilled cheese sandwich, and it's all burnt. It gives you like the cring, cring, cring.
Yeah.
Exactly what the guitar tone is like. It is to a T. It's fantastic. And then you throw in some tollable vocals in there. You throw in some double bass kick drum annihilation, and it's just like the perfect harmony of sound, of grease, and groove. And
Yeah.
if your knuckles aren't bleeding after listening to this album, then I think you've didn't listen to it loud enough. You listened to the wrong album.
Yeah, it'll make your arms stretch out so that your knuckles are dragging on the pavement.
I mean, you like Peeling Flesh. Another slam band that I've listened to a lot of is called Bolt Cutter.
Oh yeah.
Very similar guitar tone and Bolt Cutter.
Sick.
But again, you like those guys. Just listen to the last 4 albums. Just put them on and repeat. You'll have an hour, probably an hour and a bit to listen to everything, and you'll be like, "Fuck yeah! Thank you, James and Rhett, for recommending me the best slam bands of March."
Yeah, hell yeah. Keeping in the brutal death slam, I think this is the last one on the list actually, and that's
For you it is, yeah.
Yeah, it's so this is a band called Xenoautopsy with Irreversible Anthropocide. This is a 2-piece brutal death slam / deathcore from Spain. This is more in the brutal death side. I mean, there's some slammies, but and some undeniable groove, but this is more in the brutal death train of like bands like Vomit the Soul, Extermination, Dismemberment, Abominable Putridity. It's got a lot of the gurgles, the gurgly gutturals. There's some neck snapping slammy slammers. But then there's some technical like tech deathcore parts similar to Beneath a Massacre or like Cytotoxin, with just like the like
pure annihilation, pure speed
tapping. Yeah. But yeah, again, on my notes I put let your hair down, bang your head, and drag those knuckles. So that's that's it. That's it. Simple. It's if you want to revert back, if instead of evolving in life, if you'd rather devolve, then just listen to Xenoautopsy, Gamma Sector, Abated Mass of Flesh, Orbital Gate, Gates to Hell, Body Box. If you listen to everything that came out in March, then you'll surely devolve into fucking
turn into a rat rummaging through the garbage in the dumps.
Yeah, you'll be
after
like,
listening to Imperial Triumphant while you're in a speakeasy smoking a cigar and drinking scotch.
If you listen to this music, you will devolve into an ectoplasm, and then you'll slime your way into a speakeasy, and then Imperial Triumphant will play, and then you'll evolve back to a higher consciousness.
So it all just cancels out.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're a bunch of fucking idiots. Jesus Christ. Okay, last one in the death metal space for March releases is a Turkish technical brutal death metal band called Cosmovalence with their release Spatial Temporal Evolution. Great fucking name, and if you can't tell by the name of the band and the album, this is very heavily atmospheric, very space themed. Yeah. They've been around, or they formed in 2015, I found, but this is their first release, so they've been kind of just jamming and working some stuff out for a while. And I mean, what a freaking debut! Like their sound has just the right amount of technicality and brutalness. But again, you have the atmospheric sci-fi noise to kind of cleanse your ears before going right back at it again. Which the dynamics are super good, and then the songwriting is super creative as well, and it helps to make it a super enjoyable listen. And even in the brutal technical, or the technical brutal death metal space, typically the songs aren't super long because they seem to get drawn out or something. And this one didn't have that. It was super fresh, super enjoyable. And even the last song was like 11 minutes long, and it didn't seem dry or stale or anything, which I think was give them their flowers for that. If you really like the musicianship of Between the Buried and Me with a little less deathcore flair, kind of like that early 2000s sound, as compared to Cosmovalence, add a bit more crisp modern day production, and I think that you got yourself one hell of an album, and you'll really love these guys. So
sick. That's awesome. Dope.
Hell yeah, bro.
So I think that kind of completes our journey for more of the death metal stuff. Now we're heading into our sludge and doom releases from March, which were equally as insane. It's just fucking ridiculous here.
So many albums.
So let's start off the sludge and doom now. So the first band is a band called Fang or Fang.
I think
Fang with Purulences. I think it's Fang with Purulences. It's a hard fucking name to say.
Freaking French.
So these guys are industrial sludge metal. They're a quartet from France. And this is a super interesting album as well, like very creative. It's unlike anything I've ever heard, but it's also an evolution of their previous work. It's definitely thicker in the industrial side of things. In the songwriting, the instrumentation, it's very cold, it's dark, it's bleak, it's very machine-like. Now, I'm not typically a huge fan of industrial, and I don't really listen to a lot of industrial stuff, but after listening to this album, it's been a gateway for me, and I've been listening to like bands like Godflesh and like stuff like that, and more Fear Factory, and just like trying to get into the scene. But yeah, this album, I feel like it melts together death metal, sludge, and industrial. I heard about these guys, but I never really checked them out until they came out with this release in March. But I first heard about them when they were touring with one of my favorite bands, Cult Leader. So naturally, my ears perked up when I heard that there was a new album from these guys, and based on their previous tour and stuff like that. And yeah, it didn't disappoint. It's definitely a difficult listen. Like, it's not an easy listening album, just because it's so cold and dark and industrial. But it's really well written, kind of artistic body of work. So I
That's, I
enjoyed
think, a good word to describe it is artistic.
it.
And maybe a little bit autistic too.
Yeah.
When I was originally doing notes, I didn't know which category to put this under, so I just made a new category and just put WTF. 'Cause I didn't know what to put these guys under, because again, it's so unique and just it's weird. It's got like almost the vocals are almost noise rockish too, but then
Yeah.
yet you have with some clean, not clean singing, but like clean vocals. And then
Mhm.
I wish I could describe the atmosphere surrounding the album, but yeah, it's one of those where you have to listen to it and you get it.
Yeah.
Like our words, I don't think would do it justice.
Justice. Yeah. Agree.
Great album though.
Mhm.
Okay, now we have a Canadian band finally. Holy shit. And these guys are from Toronto and they're called Pyres. Piers?
Pyres,
Sure.
I think.
Pyres. And their album Yun. So I think the guitar tone of this band is sludge, but they incorporate a little bit of like punk / groove metal in their sound, which I think is kind of the best of both worlds. The vocals are for sure star of the show. Guitars, they keep the riffs super simple and they let the vocals shine. And I think their playing style is very similar to that of Old Macedon, but
Mm.
there's a bit more substance to their sound. Old Macedon, I think, is a little bit hollow, or at least what I kind of remember. But
Mhm.
again, the changes in musical equipment and recording equipment and everything over the last 20 plus years, it makes a big difference. Um,
Mhm.
I think another band that was pretty close to this was also 16. What we had
Oh,
listened
yeah.
to last month would be a good comparison. But yeah, if it's you kind of like that slow, rockish, sludge type music, then you'll love these guys. So
Oh, yeah. Continuing down the sludge metal train here. This album was big standout for me so far for the year, just because it was very highly anticipated for me when I found out that it was going to be released. And that's a band called Guiltless with their album Teeth to Sky. This is a supergroup band consisting of members from the legendary band Neurosis, Intronaut, and a band called Generation of Vipers. Super amazing album. Perfectly blends all of those previous bands together. And it kind of blends it through post-metal, post-hardcore. It's bulky, it's bruising, there's pummeling riffs. It blends it all nicely together into a sludge smoothie that goes down thick and goes down chunky.
That does not sound good.
There's a lot of good use of atmosphere and like a build up, like lots of build up, and it's it's just a phenomenal album. I think it's a concept album. I haven't really dug too much into the lyrics, but it's just very, 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 very good. If you like bands like Kowloon Walled City, the Jesus Lizard, or any of the bands that that these members were previously from, you'll fucking love this album. So I grew up listening to bands like Cave In, Isis, Pelican, and Intronaut, and a band called Mouth of the Architect, which are like all great, just like sludge metal, post metal, doom kind of bands. And this is like super group level for me. It's like the pinnacle. That was a great fucking album.
You gotta, and that one, you gotta bathe in the doom and the gloom. You gotta go into it, I think, expecting that, because even the album, I don't know what that is, but it's just got like this huge gray overtone, and then there's like the 3 pierced things. It looks like the horns of horns, but the top of a crown.
Yeah,
and it's just when you look at that, you're thinking, man, this is kind of gray and bleak and
yeah, it has like atmospherically, it's very like cold, bleak, dark, gray. I don't know, I get like Game of Thrones vibes from it for some reason. But yeah, it's a musical journey, and really great musicianship, great songwriting, the way they structure everything. It's a journey for sure. Yeah, great band.
Okay, now we got a progressive metal post-hardcore band from Athens, Greece called Kalisis.
I think it's Calluses or Kalisis.
Cool. Whatever. Roast us in the comments. With fleshy waves of probability. That you can't mess up. While I was listening to this album, I skimmed an article reading about the band and some of their influences, and they said Mastodon again was one of their main influences, and I think it's pretty evident that throughout their sound that is a large inspiration to them. But the one thing that they changed was that there's more post-hardcore sound on top of what old Mastodon used to be, which I think is a good fusion of the two. I hear a lot of Dream Theater in there as well. Kind of with that, like the progginess a little bit, but there's no synths, and which I personally appreciate. But the style of the guitars and the vocals in the rhythm section is what I kind of drew to with the resemblance. I think it's a pretty safe rock album with some prog influences, and then with like the quick switches and the quick time signature changes, I think is what kind of reverts me back to Dream Theater. There's some sections that kind of drag on, but I mean that just goes with any kind of post-hardcore, even some prog things. Sometimes they just let you sit and linger in the atmosphere. Again, it's one of those where you have to listen to it front to back, because or else it just becomes annoying to listen to a single when a lot of it
Mhm.
is just all instrumental and such. But it has its place in the album, I think.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be a knock on the album itself. It's just the way that it's progressed in its development. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a part of it. It's a part of the listening journey. And yeah, if that's something that floats your boat, then I mean, give this one a shot.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that I don't know where I found that album. I can't remember where. I think it was No Clean Singing, the website.
That's another good review place is No Clean Singing.
Yeah, and they'll post like underground albums that like other people aren't really posting on the blogs or on the Facebook groups and stuff. And that's where I found this one.
Mhm.
And he gave it a pretty good review. So um, yeah. Okay, now we're gonna go more into the fucking bit of the beat down doom hardcore territory.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't sure where to put this up, but it's definitely doom laden. So that's why it ended up here. But it's a band called Holy Death with their release Paradise.
Nothing holy is free. No rest till I drink the blood of my enemies. Every coward that watched me bleed will die in misery.
With a C.
Eh, with a C, and like, yeah, Paradice, and it is. So I'll start by saying their. I'll read some of their lyrics off their Bandcamp, and it will perfectly describe the theme of this band and this album. Nothing holy is free. No rest till I drink the blood of my enemies. Every coward that watches me bleed will die in misery. So these are lyrics from this band and from this album, and they're
Jesus.
hard as fuck. So these guys are from Southern California. They play a doom-laden form of beatdown hardcore death metal. If you like bands like Maul, more in the death metal leaning side of things, but then in the doom kind of beatdown side of things, bands like Mastiff, Shibalba, Hatebreed,
Mhm.
Yersin, Crowbar, and then it even has elements of like power violence, like bands like Weekend Nachos, which is another fucking phenomenal band, and they're touring again, which is sick. But if you like any of that, then you will love this album. Um, if this band plays a show anywhere, and anywhere where we are, and we go and see them live, I'm staying the fuck out of any pit. I'm gonna be in the back. I'm gonna be in the back with binoculars because any mosh pit that's associated with this band will be full blown debauchery, and it's like you might as well, get your wheels ready because it's a death sentence. I feel
No
like
fucking kidding.
I would not want to be in a pit for this band or a band like Mastiff or Xibalba. Or can you imagine being in a pit during early Hatebreed? Like
Oh god.
you'd be dead. You'd be uh, yeah.
And Hatebreed being as big as they are,
Yeah.
and as being as, like, uh, even doomy hardcore, which
Yeah.
is a weird way to describe it. It's fucking
Mm,
insane. Like, even
yeah.
when we went to the Mall concert, I don't know what in the doom death what that, again, invokes in people,
Yeah.
but it's just violent.
Animalistic. Yeah. It's
I
super
don't
animalistic.
might as well call these guys the Grinch because 'cause I'm not touching that pit with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
Oh,
That was a heavy, heavy album for sure. So
okay. Now we got a Pennsylvanian sludge grind band called Secret Cutter, which kind of came out of nowhere. There was like no lead up,
Yeah,
no
no
nothing. It
press,
was
no
just
hype. Yeah.
bam.
Boom.
And
Yeah.
maybe that's why the name of this album is just 3 slanting lines. I don't know if it means 3. I don't know if it means cut. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's like 3 slanted lines. You interpret what that means. Anyway, this is like a subgenre combination made in heaven. And the
Yeah.
guitar sounds are so raw and crispy that give that grind flavor, but then the tempo of the album itself has that groove, and it's just like you're bobbing around in a washing machine and you're being thrown around, and you got like all the clothes and all the noise and that grrr of the
Yeah.
machine whirring the whole time, and you're just bouncing around, and it's awesome, purely
Yeah.
awesome. And then you'll kind of like be bouncing around in the washing machine, and then there's a fist that comes in and punches you in the side of the head, and it's just like this pure aggression. It'll be like this quick snippet of just pure like rage, and you're like, well, where the hell did that come from? And then I'll just go back to like the grind latent groove. It is kind of weird like that, but makes you want to fuck shit up. That's what
Oh
I
yeah.
feel like when I listen to that. I think if you understand Full of Hell and how they have those super quick pace changes, it's very similar to that, but just don't call it's not Full of Hell type speed. The pace
Yeah.
changes are Full of Hell, but Full of Hell is on a whole nother level of its own.
Mhm.
Another band I think that would be pretty similar to that would be Primitive Man. Not as doomy, but the
Yeah.
tone of the album is fairly close. So if you want to kind of put the two together, then
Yeah.
that's kind of what they're coming from. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Full Hell and Primitive Man did a split release a few years ago. So if you
Yeah, they
listen,
did.
I haven't listened to that one, but I would assume it would be kind of close of what these guys have
Yeah.
put out.
Yeah, this album, so there's another band that's kind of similar in their sound. They're called Armed for the Apocalypse, and they're like sludge, grind, hardcore, like it's really hard to describe the sound. It's very like unique. There's another band called the Abominable Iron Sloth,
What?
and yeah, and it features members from a band called Willhaven, which is like a sludge metal band and a post-hardcore band. This band like fits within whatever that mold or genre is in terms of the sound. But I found this album was like just so heavy and pissed off and just like aggressive. Like, holy man. Like his screaming is like shrill. The pitch of his scream and his voice is like just cuts. It cuts, and it's like, yeah, but the groove, like you said, you're just like all over the place, it's getting boxed around. But the pace changes it has almost like a mathcore quality to it in terms of
Hmm.
the songwriting. But
It's just
yeah,
like a subgenre stew is what this one is.
yeah, it's like Cave In meets Arm for Apocalypse meets like, yeah, Life Once Lost or something. Like it's just really, really aggressive and heavy.
Just beautiful.
Yeah,
As beautiful as sludge and grind can be.
Sludge is beautiful. Speaking of beautiful sick sludge, we're gonna go back. We're gonna go back down to Australia with a band called Ghost Smoker, which is a fucking badass name. With their full-length album Inertia Cult. So this is like really sick, filthy sludge, stoner, doom metal. Fans of bands like Conan, Thou, Bong Ripper will love this album. It's filthy, nasty, crushing. The riffs are just like stinky and fucking dirty, but they just give you that stank face the whole time. Vocally, the guy's vocals are just dripping and nasty, and like it's like, the whole band is like playing and writing in a bog or something like that. It's just, and then the production is dark, it's atmospheric, it's smoky, it's ghosty, it's
Yeah.
like spirity. There's a lot of really cool like atmospheric elements with the music, like with the guitars, but also just the way it's produced and everything. But it's a brutal record. And, talking about wanting to take a shower after you listen to an album, like this is definitely one of those ones where you gotta like bathe after. But yeah, I would, highly recommend just grab the funnel, stick it in your ear hole, and let the fucking sludge pour in. 'Cause
Get the ghosts in your ears.
get the ghost smoking in your ears.
Well, if you think about it, ghosts and smoke are like the same. They're both
Yeah.
just in the air. They're not existent. They're just floating around, minding their own business.
hmm
Go wherever the hell they want.
I just imagine like a spirit or a ghost in another realm, and he's just like smoking joints.
Yeah. And then he's just like slow and just bombing out.
And he's writing fat riffs,
Hell yeah.
ghosty riffs.
Please introduce us to that ghost or come find us.
Ghost with the
Anyway, next up, we got a Swedish post-hardcore sludge band called Collapse, and their album KLPS, which is just another word for collapse without any vowels in it. I think they were going through some rebrand or something, so that's why they were a different name, and then now they're going to, or they started off as Collapse, and then now they're just rebranding to KLPS, and then that's what they're going forward from now on.
Yeah.
But this band features a lot of unique components. It's got like the dissonant atmosphere that Ulcerate does super well, but then yet it has like the post-hardcore buzzsaw vocals and a guitar tone that I would relate to Mastiff, but at like a sludge metal speed. Mastiff is a bit more higher intensity, but just
Fast.
tune it down a bit more, and you got Collapse. But it's a listening experience, is what I had wrote down. I think despite the slower speed, it's still so crushingly heavy. Like the overtones of the album are still like that reminiscent of darkness, but you can tell that it's dark, but there is some uplifting undertones that give off that there's light at the end of the darkness type deal.
Mhm.
Again, it's kind of hard for me to explain, but if you listen to the album and then you get it. Like if you like crust punk, if you're a fan of post hardcore or even Dizzle Death, then this album is going to be right up your alley.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a really unique like blend of sound. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I really enjoyed it too.
Takes all the best parts of everything and then just
Yeah,
meshes them together.
and it almost gave me personally like the band End. It
Mm-hmm.
gave me like that kind of a vibe with how heavy it is and like pummeling it is. Um, but yeah, super good release. Okay, now we're getting more into the crusty crusters, the D beat power violence shit. This is a band from Budapest, Hungary called Titan with their album Another World Hell. Also spelled similar to Rothadas, which is also another band from Hungary. It is the title of the album I cannot pronounce, so I'm not going to pretend. But this is an absolutely sick crust D beat power violence / hardcore band from Budapest. This album was mixed and mastered by the legendary Dan Swano, formerly of Edge of Sanity and Maceration, which are epic death metal bands. So this album and band received the Midas touch from the master himself. This thing is absolutely ripping, full of oppressive, violent guitars, really fun, fast-paced D-beat drumming, and super, super aggressive, pissed off vocals. Like if you like Nails, or Weekend Nachos, or Yersin, you'll like this shit. This album was built and designed to tear the house down and fuck shit up, big deadly style.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a great release for me.
It's got that griminess to it that I think Nails does
Yeah.
so well.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know.
like
I don't know what that is. It's like a buzzsaw, but not a buzzsaw.
Yeah, it's like crust punk is what they call it, but it's like, yeah, buzzsaw kind of HM2, pedal, and just keep it real punk rock, keep it real short and sweet, just to the point. Crust punk is very similar to grind.
Mm-hmm.
Those terms get used quite a bit in lieu of each other.
But I think crust punk is more socially acceptable than grindcore.
Yeah,
because grindcore, you're rapping in a lot of bands that maybe at first glance aren't having the best of appearances. But then if you have the punk kids who back in the 2000s and they were in this scene, they can kind of easily read over the crust punk because that's more socially acceptable. But then once you get a punk kid going over to Pig Destroyer, then kids will be like, what the fuck is happening to you?
Yeah, exactly.
You might get some looks over from your friends. So
Yeah,
I think this one again kind of straddles that line.
yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, we got one last one in the sludge and doom subgenre, and this is from a Norwegian death doom band called Purified in Blood with the release Primal Pulse Thunder. one, album cover is super sick. It
Yeah.
looks like one of those tribal tattoos that's like full of color and everything. It's super
Yeah.
cool. Um, but besides that, it's writing that sludge doom metal line for most of the album. But then you have some instances where it picks up a lot more and kind of keeps you on your toes a little bit. So it's not just it's not like a mundane listen. But the speed doesn't
Mhm.
come from like tremolo picking or anything. It's more of like a full tempo of the group picking up
Yeah.
their sound and their speed. And it's a lot. It keeps with the same sludge theme with a bit more pace.
Yeah.
There's a couple more longer songs on the album that have some longer parts to it. So you kind of have to go into it with a bit more open-mindedness and know that okay, we're going to be here for a while for some of them. But I mean, adding some of those faster parts will help you keep engaged a little bit. But it's just one where you can just kind of lay down on the couch after a long day and throw it on, and then you're like, you know what? I need some background music just to kind of hang along and just let my head rest and just chill out for a moment.
Mhm.
And I think this is one that's just kind of like you had a lot of stuff happening in your day. You kind of need your mind to just like detox, but you can't sit in silence. This is one
Yeah.
that will just like you can bathe in it, just headbang along when appropriate, and it's gonna scratch that itch just perfectly.
Yeah. I agree. Sick. Well, that concludes our fucking metal journey for March. What a insane month. Um, we're gonna
Bonkers,
have
man.
a we're gonna have like a part three, which will cover off of kind of all of the core releases. Um, and so make sure to check that out. Make sure to check out part one of the metal releases for March. March is man, in terms of the volume of great albums, I don't know if any other month this year will top it, but um, so far uh, this year is shaping up to be like pretty insane for metal.
One of the best years to date. So
Yeah, I
if
would
you're a
say.
metal fan or you're thinking about getting into the scene, then this is just like everybody's best wishes coming true. Like bands
Yeah,
who are, I mean, again, have been in the scene for a long time, coming out with new music, new
yeah,
bands in the scene who are influenced by said older bands. They're coming up with their own spin on shit. And
yeah,
it's a melting pot and just a perfect time for you to for someone to go back and to learn and to listen and to evolve
yeah,
and
yeah.
truly
It's a
blessed.
yeah, great time for music for sure. Um, yeah. Well, we'll keep it metal out there. Keep it
Hmm.
keep it deadly.
Keep your head up, please.
Yeah.
There might be some arm swinging.
Yeah. Elbows up.
Oh, right, yeah. Elbows up.
Elbows up. Elbows up. Okay. Catch you guys on the next one.
You betcha. Stay metal.
Hey, matter.